Lesson 5.5. We're going to take a look at some other functions, some miscellaneous functions, and some other useful functions in and around the SQL language. The first one is an Oracle-specific function called Decode. It's been around for a long time. It's kind of an if-then-else for data. It's going to decode the dep note, and I generally line it up in pairs like this. If dep note is at 10, it's going to return New York. If it's dep note is at 20, it's going to return Dallas. If it's 30, Chicago, 40, Boston. Otherwise, that's an else, it's going to return Des Moines. And this works relatively well. You can see that it returns the patterns out nicely in the query results. What you're comparing it to, the dep note 10, that New York, that can be a calculation. That can be another grouping of functions. Whatever you need to run when it's a 10, you can put into this decode statement. It can get quite long. Oracle 9 introduced this case function. I think it was to be more compatible with other languages perhaps, but it works just like Decode. You case that dep note when it's at 10, New York, 20, Dallas, so on and so forth. It has an else. It's a little bit more verbiage. Notice it's an end, not an end case. So it has an end clause on it. Probably a little easier to read, and it's identical to the Decode. So 6 of one, half dozen of another. This is probably more common with other languages. Oracle also supports regular expressions in SQL. These were introduced in Oracle 9. They come from the POSIX and Unicode committees, and they're regular expressions. Unix and Linux have used these for a long time. I'm familiar with the VI editor. The VI editor uses regular expressions to do pattern searching and replacing and things like that. Regular expression substring, count, in-string, replace. I think there's about a half a dozen more of these functions as well. Look them up in the Oracle documentation, the SQL reference manual. Just give you an idea, the backslash can take the meaning away from a special character, such as a double quote. When you do a backslash double quote, you're actually going to get a double quote rather than what's in the quotes. Things like that. The asterisk, it's a pattern matching. The plus, one or more occurrences. You can read down through there. I like the caret. I remember that one being the beginning of the line. And you got your concatenation. You have your pattern matching for M number of lines, N number of occurrences, so on and so forth. So if you're used to working with regular expressions in other languages, the Oracle SQL language supports them as well. Some new Oracle 12 SQL. This is pattern matching, kind of goes down the Hadoop and big data side of things, but this works against Oracle tables. It's a form of analytical SQL if you notice the partition by clause, but it takes the pattern, watching the rows as they're coming through, and does things based on what the last row was and what the next row is going to be. It's very interesting. It's covered well in the SQL documentation, has more examples, and it's pattern matching. Doing the results based on patterns that it finds within the group of rows being selected.